Texas is probably, in the United States, is the biggest example of what happens when these feral hogs are just completely out of control. They just devastate these agricultural farms.
Yeah.
They have these farms and they're just getting destroyed.
At 2:47 in the morning, on a drought-cracked ranch in South Texas, a thermal drone operator sees something on his screen that he will later describe as the strangest image of his career. Not one sounder of hogs, not two. What looks like an entire migration, dozens of glowing white bodies pouring across the cracked bed of what used to be a stock pond, all moving in the same direction, all moving fast. He keys his radio. Ground teams scramble out of trucks parked along a caliche road. Helicopters that were scheduled for a routine patrol get redirected before dawn even breaks. Nobody on that first radio call has any idea they're about to be part of one of the largest coordinated wildlife culling operations in American history. Over the next 72 hours, across 3 counties, more than 12,000 feral hogs will be killed. And almost nobody outside a small circle of ranchers, pilots, biologists, and state officials was ever supposed to see what the footage actually looked like. The pilot who spotted it that first night had run dozens of overnight missions before. He knew what a normal sounder looked like on a thermal screen, a tight cluster of 6 or 8 glowing shapes moving together, cautious, stopping every few seconds to check the wind. What he was looking at instead was closer to a river of heat signatures, sounder after sounder converging on the same point from every direction, as if some invisible signal had gone out across 3 counties telling every hog in the region to move that same night. This is the story of how that operation came together, why the method behind it was mocked and nearly abandoned twice before it worked, and what it says about a war most people don't even know is happening in their own backyard. To understand why anyone would need to kill 12,000 animals in 3 days, you first have to understand what a feral hog actually is, and why Texas has more of them than anywhere else on the planet. Right now, there are somewhere between 1.5 and 2.5 million feral hogs roaming the state, out of an estimated 6 million spread across the country. They are not native. They're the descendants of escaped domestic pigs and Eurasian wild boar, first brought over centuries ago by early settlers and later by hunters chasing bigger, tougher game. In the centuries since, they've turned into one of the most efficient reproductive machines in the animal kingdom. A female hog can start breeding at 6 months old. She can produce 2 litters a year, 4 to 6 piglets in each one. Run that math forward a few generations, and a single family group, called a sounder, can explode into hundreds of animals faster than any landowner can build a fence to stop them. And they don't just exist quietly in the background, they destroy everything in their path. Feral hogs root through soil like living tillers, tearing up pasture land, irrigation lines, and entire crop fields in a single overnight visit. Texas landowners lose an estimated $400 million a year in agricultural damage alone, a number that has been climbing steadily for over a decade with no sign of slowing. They wallow in ponds and creeks, fouling water sources that cattle and wildlife depend on. They carry diseases that threaten livestock herds, including pathogens capable of devastating the commercial pork industry if they ever crossed into domestic pig populations. They outcompete and prey on native species, from ground-nesting quail to newborn white-tailed fawns, caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. Ranchers in the hardest-hit counties describe waking up to fields that look like they were carpet-bombed overnight, fence lines torn open, and entire sections of pasture rendered useless for grazing until they can be repaired. One rancher in the region, who had spent 3 generations working the same stretch of land, described losing an entire winter wheat field in a single night, 30 acres reduced to churned mud in the time it took him to sleep. He said the hardest part wasn't even the money. It was the feeling of watching an animal that shouldn't exist on his land at all, an animal with no natural predator large enough to check its numbers, slowly outpace every defense he could build against it. And the problem isn't confined to Texas anymore. Feral hogs have been documented in nearly 40 states, spreading north and east far faster than wildlife agencies expected even a decade ago. Cold winters used to be nature's own population control, but milder seasons in recent years have let sounders survive and expand into regions that once seemed too harsh for them. Every county they move into inherits the same combination of problems all over again: torn up farmland, contaminated water, and a reproductive rate that outpaces almost anything short of an all-out coordinated response. For years, the state's answer was simple: shoot them, trap them, hunt them from the air whenever possible. None of it was ever enough. Feral hogs are remarkably intelligent, naturally nocturnal, and they learn from every single encounter with humans. Kill a few from a helicopter during the day, and the survivors simply shift their entire schedule to move only at night. Trap one sounder in a corral trap, and the rest of the population in that area becomes almost impossible to lure into the same design again. The population kept climbing no matter what anyone tried, year after year, county after county. That's where the bold, almost absurd idea came in. In 2011, Texas passed what people started calling the pork chopper law, formally legalizing the aerial gunning of feral hogs from private helicopters. For a while, it worked. Then, predictably, the hogs adapted again, scattering into thick brush cover the instant they heard rotor blades, moving in smaller and smaller groups, becoming ghosts on the landscape the moment daylight hunting pressure increased. So, a new generation of wildlife contractors and hunters proposed something stranger. Take military-grade thermal imaging, mounted on drones instead of manned aircraft, and eventually pair it with targeting software sophisticated enough to tell a hog's heat signature and walking gait, apart from a cow's or a deer's, in complete darkness, from hundreds of feet in the air. The idea was radical in its simplicity. Stop hunting hogs the way humans had for the better part of a century, and start hunting them the way the animals themselves actually operated. At night, silently, in tightly coordinated family groups. It's worth remembering just how far this idea had already traveled by that point. 100 years earlier, hog control in Texas meant a rancher with a rifle and a pack of dogs. 50 years ago, it meant corral traps built from cattle panels and a bag of corn as bait. Even the helicopter era, revolutionary as it was in 2011, still relied on a pilot's naked eyes scanning open pasture in daylight. Thermal drones represented an entirely different category of tool, one that didn't just extend human senses, but replaced them, letting operators see heat instead of shape, and eventually letting software see patterns no human eye could track fast enough to catch on its own. Ranchers were skeptical from the start. Older hunters called it overkill. Some called it outright cheating, arguing it stripped away everything that made hunting a skill rather than a video game. And the cost was steep by any measure. A single thermal-equipped drone with functioning tracking software could run well into the tens of thousands of dollars, a price tag far beyond what most family ranches could ever justify for a method that, at the time, was completely unproven against an animal that had out-adapted every previous strategy thrown at it for the past 100 years. If you're the kind of person who enjoys watching nature and technology collide in ways nobody expected, this is a good moment to hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because the next part of this story is exactly where the whole plan almost fell apart completely. The early operations were rough, and at times genuinely discouraging. Thermal cameras struggled badly in fog and light rain, exactly the kind of unpredictable conditions common during Texas spring nights, which meant entire scheduled hunts had to be scrapped at the last possible minute, sometimes with crews already in the air. The targeting software kept flagging false positives, repeatedly mistaking grazing cattle for hogs in the dark, which meant every single potential shot still had to be confirmed by a human eye before anyone was allowed to pull a trigger. That slowed everything down. Pilots described 12-hour overnight shifts staring at grainy heat vision screens, tracking pale shapes that would simply vanish into brush the instant a drone's motor pitch shifted even slightly. Some contractors quit after a single season, genuinely convinced the technology wasn't ready and might never be. Local noise ordinances and confusion over drone airspace regulations added another layer of friction on top of all of it, with a handful of counties temporarily grounding operations altogether, while lawmakers scrambled to catch regulations up to the technology. Some residents complained about drones buzzing over property lines at 3 in the morning, and a few local meetings turned tense over questions of privacy and airspace rights that nobody had fully worked out yet. Insurance companies were slow to write policies for a hunting method that barely had a track record, which pushed costs even higher for the operators willing to keep trying. One operation, still talked about among early contractors, involved an entire crew flying for 6 straight nights over a ranch known to hold a large resident population, only to confirm a single kill the whole week. The client canceled the contract on the spot, telling anyone who would listen that the whole drone concept was an expensive way to watch pigs run away on camera. Stories like that spread fast in a tight-knit ranching community, and for nearly 2 years, the loudest voices in Texas wildlife management circles were the ones insisting the drone experiment had failed, that hogs were once again winning a war humans had already been losing since before the state joined the Union. But here's where it gets interesting. The very thing that made feral hogs so difficult to kill, their intelligence, their adaptability, their tendency to move and think as tight family units, turned out to be the exact key to beating them, once someone finally figured out how to read it correctly. Wildlife biologists working alongside the drone teams began noticing a pattern nobody had documented before. During severe drought, hogs abandon their usual cautious, scattered movement across the landscape and start converging on the same shrinking handful of water sources, sometimes in numbers far larger than anything previously recorded in a single area. Instead of hunting hogs one sounder at a time across miles of unpredictable brush, the strategy flipped entirely. Let the drought do half the work. Wait for the exact moment when dozens of separate sounders begin funneling toward the same dwindling ponds and creek beds, then strike all at once in overwhelming, coordinated force. At the same time, the targeting software itself was quietly getting smarter. Engineers had spent nearly 2 years feeding it thousands of hours of raw thermal footage, teaching it to recognize the subtle difference between a hog's low, rolling walk and a cow's slower, more upright stride, even when both showed up on screen as nothing more than a warm blur against a cool background. What used to require a human squinting at a grainy monitor for several seconds per animal eventually became something the software could flag with real confidence in a fraction of that time. It was this quiet, unglamorous improvement, built on 2 years of failure and correction, that turned out to matter just as much as the drought itself. That is exactly what happened on the night this story began. A punishing months-long drought had pushed water sources across 3 neighboring counties down to almost nothing, and thermal drones running a coordinated overnight schedule picked up a convergence nobody had modeled for. Sounder after sounder, moving through the dark toward the same shrinking pond in numbers that made even experienced pilots pause and double-check their screens. Ground crews and aerial teams were mobilized in rotating shifts, running around the clock to avoid the fatigue that had undermined earlier operations. The AI targeting systems, finally trained on enough real-world footage to reliably tell hog gait and heat signature apart from cattle, could confirm targets in seconds instead of the agonizing minutes that had plagued earlier attempts. Over the next 3 days, teams worked in relentless overnight windows, tracking, confirming, and clearing sounder after sounder as animals kept emerging from the brush toward the same failing water source. By the time the operation finally wound down, the number moving through official internal reports was 12,000 hogs, a figure so far outside anything previously recorded in a single regional operation that it reportedly caused genuine internal disagreement over whether to publicize the results at all. Photos and raw footage meant only for internal wildlife management review began circulating among hunters and rural Texans before officials had prepared any public statement, and that quiet, unauthorized spread is the closest thing this story has to an explanation for why almost nobody outside that small circle was ever supposed to see it. The scale of what actually happened became clear almost immediately once word got out. Extrapolated across the affected counties, the crop, pasture, and water infrastructure damage prevented by removing 12,000 hogs in a single 72-hour window runs into the millions of dollars for a single growing season. Ranchers in the 3 counties reported fields left completely intact for the first time in years, with fence lines that stayed standing and irrigation systems that stayed functional straight through spring planting. Wildlife officials began quietly citing the operation internally as proof of concept, hard evidence that drought-timed, drone-coordinated culling could achieve in 3 days what years of scattered, unpredictable helicopter hunts had consistently failed to accomplish. Other hog-heavy states, including Louisiana, Oklahoma, and pockets of the broader Southeast, began reaching out to Texas contractors and wildlife agencies to understand exactly how the model worked and whether it could be replicated on their own land. A small but rapidly growing industry of thermal drone hunting services has emerged in the years since, turning what began as a desperate, expensive experiment into a genuinely trusted tool in the broader fight against one of the country's most destructive invasive species. Insurance companies that once refused to touch these operations began writing policies once the safety and success record improved. Costs per drone dropped as more companies entered the market, and competition pushed the technology forward faster than the original engineers ever expected. Ranch owners who once dismissed the whole idea as an expensive gimmick started requesting it by name, simply because word had spread about what happened during those 3 days. Native ground-nesting birds and small mammals in the affected counties showed measurable recovery the following spring, the kind of quiet, ecological rebound that almost never makes headlines, but matters enormously to the land itself and everything that depends on it. One wildlife biologist who reviewed the internal data afterward put it simply. In her words, the operation didn't just remove animals. It gave an entire ecosystem a single season to breathe that it hadn't had in years. That, more than the raw kill count, is the number wildlife officials in Texas now quietly point to whenever the topic comes up. And yet, for all of that, the feral hog population across Texas has not stopped growing. Even a historic 3-day operation like this one represents only a small fraction of the millions of hogs still spreading across the state and the country as a whole. Biologists involved are remarkably candid about this. Technology bought time. It protected specific landscapes for a specific season. It did not win the underlying war. Every sounder removed from one county simply frees up food and water for the hogs surviving in the next county over. The truth researchers keep repeating, even after a result this dramatic, is that feral hogs may be one of the very few invasive species in North America that humans currently have no long-term solution for, only better and better ways of managing the ongoing damage they cause. Which leaves an uncomfortable but honest question hanging over this entire story. We built helicopters, then thermal cameras, then artificial intelligence, all just to fight an animal that adapts to nearly everything we throw at it faster than we can throw it. 12,000 hogs in 72 hours sounds like a decisive victory, and in some very real ways it is. But it's also a quiet reminder that the most successful invasive species on this continent isn't actually losing this war. It's simply being pushed back, temporarily, one drought, one drone, one 3-day operation at a time. Somewhere out in the brush tonight, another sounder is already moving toward whatever water is left, completely unaware that the technology hunting it didn't even exist a decade ago, and completely unaware that it will very likely still be here, in some form, long after every drone in this story has been retired. So here's the question worth sitting with long after this video ends. When an animal can out-adapt almost every single tool we invent to stop it, are we actually solving the problem, or are we just buying ourselves a little more time before the next 12,000 show up? Let me know what you think in the comments below.